The grandfather clock in the corner of Fong's room struck midnight. Its sound a deafening announcement. The day he'd always dreaded had arrived. Phong thought he was alone and was startled by the sudden movement from the corner of his eye. The maid who had been fanning him. He had forgotten she was there. She was either young or simply looked it. Phong couldn't tell. Her features were unremarkable. Ordinary eyes, ordinary nose, and ordinary cheekbones that felt as though they could belong to just about anyone. They were alike, he found, the servants. The children of less fortunate parents who resorted to selling their sons and daughters in order to survive another day. She lowered her head under his gaze, frightened she had done something to offend her master. Despite the aching emptiness under his chest, Phong laughed. "I won't bite." "I beg your pardon, monsieur?" The maid was confused. Those 3 words may have been the most Phong had uttered in her presence. He was known as the quiet heir. "Are you hungry?" he asked, another smile on his lips. A clumsy attempt to keep the maid's worry at bay. "No, monsieur, I am not." She shook her head the way she was taught. "Of course you are. Servants aren't particularly well fed," Phong said, pointing at his dinner tray. On top was a bowl of soup. What kind, he wasn't sure, and a piece of bread. "Take them to the kitchen to eat, though I suppose they are a bit cold now." "Tell the others it was an order," Phong urged, when the maid remained in her spot, silent and scared whilst her stomach grumbled at the promise of good food. "Yes, monsieur." She bowed and stepped out. Her grips firm around the tray, her pace quickened, like she was worried Phong might change his mind. He hoped he had made her night somewhat better than his. The wooden door creaked, and Phong was by himself, the way he was meant to be. His room was drenched in a heavy silence. The air smelled as dry as it was stale. The window to the left of his bed was sealed shut, denying the silver moonlight an entrance. Phong needed complete darkness to fully conceal the mass of his loneliness. His breath was so soft, it felt like it did not exist. He could hear the faint shushing outside his bedroom as more servants walked past. Their discreet warning. Their master should not be disturbed. Today of all days, his birthday, the same day his mother passed away. Phong never celebrated it. He kept getting older, whilst his mother stayed forever young. Turning onto his side, Phong blinked at the stack of paperwork, roughly a few years old. His plan to study abroad. In school, Phong was known as the smartest student. He could solve difficult mathematical equations within minutes, and his test scores were unbeatable. His teachers and his fellow students all spoke highly of him, believing he would excel in any field he chose to follow.